Hey, so in this tutorial, I want to show you how you can make your own Google Sheets versions of the goal punch cards. So right now on TikTok, it's a huge trend for 2026, these cute little punch cards that people are hand making them, they're drawing them and whatnot. But for those of us that aren't that crafty, or maybe you prefer the digital version, I've created a Google Sheets version because I wanted to do something that was similar to this, really cute, but I don't have the crafting type of skills to make something like that. So I designed one in here. So this is what this tutorial is going to be about, is how to create a super cute punch cards inside of Google Sheets. So as you can see, we can add in our goals, our rewards, it tracks our progress, and then we can check off every time that we accomplish something. So we punch our little card. That's what we do with checking it off. So that's what we're going to make it here. So just to warn you, this might be a little bit longer of a video because it's the full tutorial. So you might want to grab a drink and a little bit of a snack because we're going to be here for a little bit. Hopefully I'll get it done a lot quicker than I think, but you never know. So you might want to grab some snacks. All right. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to decide on how many goals you're going to have and how many items they're going to be. So unfortunately, unlike the handmade ones where you can literally just put as many as you want on here, we're a little bit more restricted with Google Sheets because it's a spreadsheet. We have to fit within the columns and the rows. So we do have limitations. And if you want it to be nicely lined up, I like to start off with thinking about, okay, what my goals are, and then how many punch holes I want for each of those goals. So for this example here, for the read 8 books this year, I have 8 little checkbox areas, whereas this one over here has 10. You could have 12, you could have 20, 30, you can have as many as you want, but you do want to think about this ahead of time because it will take a little bit of planning on your end to figure out, okay, because we could have 2 separate rows, or sorry, 2 separate columns or areas. So I've got goals here and I've got goals here. You can extend it to go left and right, but I like to go top to bottom. But you also want to think like, do you want it all to be nice and like in a line together? So I've got like 10, my 10 goal here, another 10 goal here. I could do it in, this one I could have made like 30 and then had 6 rows of 5. So I'd have 5, 5, and then 4 more rows of 5 down here. So I can make it longer or wider. That's what you got to think about when you are designing these things. So you might want to go through this tutorial, creating one as we go. And then when you're actually creating your full like punch card with all the different goals in there, you might have to sit down and start thinking about, okay, this one would fit here, this one would fit there, because as you can see, I could do 8 here, and then I made this one as a 4 version with an extra photo. So it just takes a little bit of finessing. So just to warn you, but let's go ahead and get started. So what you'll want to do is create a brand new spreadsheet. So if you are just in Google Drive, you would click new and then go to Google Sheets. I've already created mine, so I'm just going to open up a new sheet. Let me just get my head out of the way. There we go. So I'm just going to create a fresh sheet. And so the first thing that I like doing in a brand new sheet is kind of making it a little bit prettier. So what I want to do is select the gray rectangle between the A and the 1. And what that does is it selects all the cells within this sheet. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly pick a font. I'm just going to go with Poppins because that's the one I'm currently using. And then I'm going to increase the size by 2 to make it around 12. You can make it whatever size or whatever font you want. I just like doing this ahead of time to make it nice and easy to get started. I will also go to horizontal alignment and I will make sure everything is centered. I am a Libra, so I like things to be balanced. We will make things, some will be left aligned, some will be right aligned, but for the majority of what I'm creating, it will be center aligned. So I like to do that first. And then under vertical alignment, I want to make sure it's in the middle. So then that way it sits nicely in the cell, not too close to the bottom, not too close to the top. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the first row using Shift Command and the down arrow. That's on a Mac. On a PC, you're going to use Shift Control and the down arrow to select all the rest of the cells, or sorry, rows. And then we're just going to hover our little mouse over the dark blue and right click, and then we are going to resize. And I'm just going to resize them to about 28 because I feel like Google Sheets makes them so small. So I'm going to click OK. For now, we're going to do that. We're going to resize them, so don't worry, but that's just generally how I start all my spreadsheets. Now I'm just going to hop to the top. And let's see. So what I am going to show you in this video is how to make something like this, and then how to do the one with the image. And then you get to decide how many squares you actually want. It's the same process. You just add in more columns for however many more squares you want, or add in more rows, depending. So we've got our different areas. Okay, so we're going to start with making sure, let me just move my head out of the way. There we go. So we are going to do our areas at the top here. So if you do want to have a little bit of a space for like a title, if you want to put like my goals up at the top, then you can always put it up at the top. Probably, I like to leave a spacer row. So row 1, I don't touch. And then column A, I don't touch either. So I'm actually going to resize that. I'm going to select the column, right click, resize, and I'm going to make this to about 30 because I like to make it a little bit spacer because spreadsheets always look better when you have space around the design. So as you can see here, I've got spaces everywhere and it makes it look so much nicer, right? All right, so back to this. So maybe I want to start in B2 and put in my goals. This will be my title. Then I'm going to hop down and I'm going to start in, where do I want to start? So let's say I want my goal corner to be here. So like the corner of my card, this area right here. I'm going to start that right here in C4. So that will be my corner. So I've got space from here, and then I also want space over on this side. So I'm just going to start in C4, and we're going to go from there. So this is my corner, which means that this will be where my goal goes. So I'm just going to put in goal for now. And then I'm going to skip 2 down to row 7. And I'm going to put in my reward. And then I'm going to skip 2 down. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I'm just skipping. And then we're going to do progress next. Progress. And then I think I have it all aligned up. Yep, I do have it lovely aligned. There we go. And then 2 down from there. So in C11, this is where our first emoji or our first little punch card is going to be. So you could just leave this as is, or you could put an emoji here. So let's just put in an example emoji. Are you not going to work? Come on, bring up my emojis. There we go. Let's just put in a star for now. This is going to be where a checkbox is. Then I'm going to put a space there, and then right here I'm going to put in my second row of the same emoji. So I'm just going to pop that in there for now. And then this is where we're going to have a checkbox, and this will be our spacer. So from here to here, that's our entire little box area. Okay, so that's from like top to bottom. That's it. Along with this side too. This is going to be a little spacer, but we will get to that in a second. So now you want to decide how many rows you want to have, because if you want to have more rows, let's say you want to have a punch card of 12, and let's say you're doing 4 in a line and then 3 down, then you would have a line here, you'd have a line here, and then I'd skip down 2 more, so 1, 2, and then I'd go to the next one right here, and this would be where my third row would go if I want to have 12, for example. And then I would just continue my 4 out here, so then I'd have my 12. If you're only just doing 4, then you could just have 1 row of 4, or if you're doing 8, you can have a row of 8, or if you only want to do 3, you would have 3 along, and then you could do 2 down, so maybe you're just doing 6. So you want to play around with that, but what I do know is that I do have space in between them. So for my next star or my next little punch hole, I'm going to put it right here. I want to make sure I have an empty column in the middle. So I'm just going to put my next emoji in there. And you don't have to use the same emoji for it all. You can use multiple emojis. So if you're trying to do a health one, and maybe that's just like a general health, so you could do like a glass of water, you could do like an exercise emoji, you could do a yoga emoji, like you could do different like fitness themed ones. You don't have to use emojis. You can use clip art as well. So if you've purchased clip art or you've made it yourself, you can insert images as well. Just giving you different ideas. So anyways, so now because I want to do 8, I'm going to come over here. So again, I'm leaving in a column in the middle. I'm going to put it in my little star, and then I'm going to put for my last one here. There we go. And so I can always just copy these over into the next row, and that looks lovely. Okay, so those will be where my little emojis are going, but right underneath we are going to insert some checkboxes. So I'm going to use the command button on my Mac. If you're on a PC, I'm pretty sure it's your control button, but I'm going to select separate cells that aren't arranged together. So I'm selecting my cell, holding the command button or the control button if you're on a PC, then selecting the cell right under each of the stars, because this is where we're going to insert our checkboxes. So you see how I've selected all 8 of those. Now I'm going to go to insert, checkbox, and then I always like to make my checkboxes a size smaller than my regular font. So right now it's a size 12, so I'm just going to decrease the size because checkboxes are like fonts. You just have to change the size there. And so that makes it a little bit smaller. So that's looking kind of good. Now, what do I want to do? Let's finish the design of our box, and then we could start filling in formulas and whatnot. So this column B and column J, so these are our outer edges. I want these to be smaller columns, so they're little spacers. So if we're thinking of it visually, you could see I have a column right here and a column right here, and those make great spacers, so you can create a border around them and give space to your design. So it makes it look really nice. So let's go over here. So I'm going to take column B, holding the command button on a Mac or control on a PC, grab column J, or whatever columns you're using if you decide to do more punch holes or less punch holes. So you want to take the one on the left side of our punch card, and then the one on the right. And then we are just going to resize those to about, let's say 30, and see how that looks. Yeah, that looks good. Now I am going to go and select the columns D, F, and H. So the ones that are in between where my punch card holes will be. And I'm just going to resize these. What did I resize them to be? Let's see. I think I made them even smaller. So these might be 20. Yeah. Just making sure. All right, let's go back and resize these. So I'm going to hover over the last column that I just selected. I'm going to right click, resize, and then I'm going to put in 20 and click OK. So as you can see, we're starting to see a little bit of it. Now what I can do is grab the top corner, which is B4. So remember, I'm grabbing the row right above where my goal is, and then all the way I'm going to grab to the last row, and then also including my side columns that are my spacers. So you see how I selected that entire area. So I have a spacer on the right, spacer on the bottom, spacer on the left, and then a spacer on the top. Now I'm going to go to borders, and this you could choose any color you want to. Right now I just have it selected as dark gray number 4. You could change it later if you want to, but for now I'm just going to choose a color. I'm going to choose my style, so I'm just doing thin, but you could do any of the styles here. And then I'm going to choose outer borders. And what that does is it puts a nice border around my actual card. So now if I was to hide my grid lines, you can see this is what it's going to look like, which is quite nice. All right, so let's go back in here. Now we have our goal. So the cell right beside it, which is D5, I'm going to select that holding the shift key and then select all the way to I5. So you see how I've selected the entire range of cells, not including my spacer though, because we want that spacer to be there. Now I'm going to come over to the merge button and I'm going to merge those cells together. Same thing for rewards. I'm going to go from D7, holding the shift key, to I7. So again, we're not selecting the spacer. We're just selecting from D to I. And then I'm going to merge those cells together. So this is where I can enter my goal. Now, if you don't want it to say goal there, like how I've done it over here is it's just one long row. You can actually delete where it says goal and then just merge those two cells together. So our long merged one and then where it said goal, you can merge those together if you want that to be like an extra long one that doesn't say goal. Up to you, up to your style. And then for progress, what I'm going to do is select D to E. So holding my shift key, I've selected D, holding the shift key, selected E, 9, merging those together because this is where our percentage is going to be, where it's going to count up the actual progress we've made. And then from F to I, 9, we are going to merge those together. So this is where our lovely progress bar is going to be. Lovely. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is start resizing some of our rows. So in between the row that's in between where our goal name is going and our rewards, we're going to select that. So that's row 6. Then again, I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to use the command button. If you're on a PC, use your control button. You're going to select the empty row, which is 8. So that's in between the rewards and progress. And then the empty row that's in between the progress and our stars or whatever emoji you used. And then we're also going to grab the one that's between the 2 rows. If you've done multiple rows, let's say you've done 3 rows, then you're going to grab any of the empty rows in between there because we're just going to resize them. So we're going to right click on the last one that we've highlighted, resize, and we're going to resize it to about 15 and click OK. So that gives us a little bit of spacer room between our different sections, but it makes it look nice. So now let's add some borders around some of the important information. So I'm going to select my cell here, and then I'm going to just go to my borders and click all cells or all borders. Then I'm going to select C7 where it says rewards, holding the shift key, grab the next merge cell beside it, and we're going to do all borders, and then again repeating that for here for our progress. But what I like to do, well, I'll show you it anyways, because I do not have a border in between my percentage and my progress bar, but I'm going to show you how I usually take care of this. So again, I've selected my entire range right here from progress all the way to I9. We are going to go and do all borders, but you see it's added a border in between. Let me just zoom in here so we can see a little bit better. Wow, that's better. You can see that there's a little bit of a border between where my progress bar, or sorry, where my progress percentage is and then the progress bar is. So I'm going to select the cell where the progress percentage will be. And then I'm just going to go back to my borders, click on the color, select no borders, and then select right border. So then it only changes that border to show no like colored border. And so now it's nice and seamless. All right, so let's finish off by selecting these. So I'm just going to go to my borders and I'm just going to go outer border only. And what you could do is you can, once you've done that to 1, you can actually paint format it, or actually, let's not do that yet. What I want to do is I want to resize. Let me see how big I made these. I made them pretty big. I think I made them about 60. Yes, I did. There we go. So let's resize row 11 and row 14. So whatever rows you actually have your emojis in or where you're going to put your little clip art in, we're going to resize those. So again, you're just going to right click, resize, and make them about 60. You can make them as big as you need them to. If you are inserting clip art, you might need to make them a little bit bigger so you can clearly see the clip art. Totally up to you. But I'm going to do that because what I want to do is now I'm going to select the very first emoji and I'm going to resize it so it's nice and big and stands out. So I'm going to make that about 27. That looks good. Awesome. And now, yeah, so that's looking good. So I'm going to select these 2 cells, the one where it has my big star and then also with my checkbox. And I'm going to click on the paint format brush and just select each of the stars. So I'm going to select that. You can see it takes the previous formatting of this one and applies it to this. So now I'm going to click on the paint format brush again and click the next star. And then I'm just going to repeat this for all the stars. Or what you can do now is you can select this entire range since it's already done, click on the paint format brush and then apply it to the bottom ones. So that's just an easy way to apply the formatting. Okay, so we've done that. That's looking good. Let's actually apply some color to it because let's make it pretty and then we'll like play with formulas and then conditional formatting because we're almost there. All right, so what I like to do is I'm going to select the entire area of my cell. We're going to add in some background colors. So you're going to go to fill color, choose whatever colors you want. You can either use the preset colors. These are colors I've already played with inside of my spreadsheet, but you can, if you have a very specific one, you could just click on the plus button and add in either your hex code or you could do your RGB code, or you could just play with the color wheel. If you want to play with the color wheel, go right ahead and do that. I'm going to use one of the colors I've already chosen. So let's do this yellow background. Awesome, looking good. Now, I like to do all the cells that same color because it's easier than having to come in between here and change colors. That's why I do all of them, change to one color first. And then anywhere where I want them to edit, so whether you're using this yourself or you're creating it for customers, anywhere where I want the person using the spreadsheet to edit, I make sure that it's a white background. So this is a white background, this is a white background, and then each of my little punch cards here start off as white backgrounds. So because I've just changed the colors of mine, I have to go and make sure those are white now. It's a lot easier to do it this way, at least in my mind it is. Anyway, so I'm selecting a cell. On a Mac, I'm going to use Command. If you're on a PC, use Control, and then we're going to select the other cells that should be white. So I'm just going to go in and select these all, and we're going to turn them back to white. It's a lot easier than having to do all the little cracks and crevices of our punch card. So I'm going to go back to our little fill and then choose a white color. There you go. Looks lovely. Awesome. All right, so let's add in some colors. I'm going to change the color of this to make it stand out. So I'm going to choose this green. I'm also going to bold it because I like to have my text bolded. I'm also going to bold the progress and change this to maybe this pink. There you go. Alrighty, so it's looking really good. What do I want to do next? I think I want to do a formula. Who's ready for a formula? Don't be scared, it's okay. This one, it's pretty easy to do. I just gotta think, what did I put in? Yeah, COUNTIF, perfect, okay. So I'm gonna double click into my D9 cell. This is where my progress percentage is gonna be. And then I'm gonna do an equals COUNTIF. And then you can either put your left bracket or you can click on what comes up. And now it's gonna ask me my range. Now, because my range is in 2 different rows, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of an alteration because I wanna count if any of these stars are checked off and if any of these are checked off. So if you have multiple rows, this is perfect. So now what you wanna do is the squiggly bracket. I don't know what it's called, but it's the squiggly bracket to me. And then you want to highlight or like select the cells right here. So the range with my checkboxes. So if you have 8 checkboxes in a row, you're going to select the entire range. So you've selected the very first one, then I'm going to use the comma, and then I'm going to select my next range. So you want to do this as many times as you have different like rows of checkboxes, and you just use a comma in between each of those selections. Then once you're done, because I only have my 2 selections I need to do, so I've got my first range, which is right here, and then I've got my second range, which is right here. I'm going to use the curly bracket, and then now I'm going to put a comma, and now it's going to ask me what my criteria is, and I'm going to put in quotation marks is true. Sorry, just true, not is true, but true. All right, so that's my COUNTIF. So that's going to count if any of these checkboxes are checked off. And if you're not sure yet about checkboxes, if it's checked off, it means true. If it's not checked, it means false. So that's why I'm saying, hey, if any of these are checked off, aka true, it's going to count them. But in order to get the percentage, we have to take what's been completed and divide it by the total number. So now I'm going to just do my little divider, my /, because now we're going to divide it by the total number here. And so the easiest way to do this is just to know how many punch card spots you have. I have 8, so I have my 8 stars and my right here. So I'm just going to put in 8, and then I'm going to put my right bracket. What are you giving me difficulties about? Oh, no, I don't need my last bracket. That's good. And then hit return. So right now it's saying 0, but if I check one off, it's now giving me a decimal. So it's not a percentage yet. So I want to select my cell again where my progress thing is, my progress percentage is going to be, and then I'm going to click format as percent. So as you can see, it's now showing 37.5%. You could choose how many decimal points you want shown. So here's the decimals. You can either make it more or you can make it less. I like to make it where it's just a whole number, but it's totally up to you if you want more decimal points. You could just adjust it right here. As you can see now, as I check these off, it's going to automatically count and give us progress. Awesome, right? So now we're going to do the progress bar. And these I hate typing out, so I'm just literally going to copy and paste this. I'm going to, don't worry, all the formulas I use, I'm going to paste below in the description. SPARKLINEs. So the progress bar is a SPARKLINE, and it just annoys me to type it out every time. So I usually just copy and paste it from a previous spreadsheet. But anyway, so I'm just going to select the cell where I'm going to put my progress bar in. I'm going to paste in my lovely SPARKLINE formula. And then there's 2 things you want to change. So where it says E7, or wherever it says the cell reference, you want to delete that out and select the cell with your progress percentage in. So where my 100% is, I'm going to leave that there. So you see how it updated. Then over here, where it shows the color, this is automatically showing me a color that I've already inputted. Yours most likely, when I do give you the formula, will be black. But once I hit enter, you can see this one's yellow. I want to change that hex code, and I want to change it into a color I want. So let's say I want to match it up with this pink. What I could do is I can click on the cell, the color I want, click on fill color, click on the plus, and then I can grab that hex code. I can also get a darker shade if I want a darker shade. Yeah, that one's fine. And I could just copy that hex code. I'm just going to click cancel so it doesn't change that color. Then I could double click it back into my formula and come over here to in between the quotation marks. I could just paste in my hex code, the new one, and hit enter. And there you go. So it now matches. So remember, with our Sparkline, you're only going to change the cell reference to make sure it matches where our percentage is, our progress percent is, and then you're going to change out the color of the bar. So just put in whatever hex code you want that color of the bar to be. All right, so there you go. So now as I uncheck this, you can see the progress bar works. Isn't that cute? All right, so let's do two other things. What I do want to change is the color of my checkboxes. So I am just selecting each of my cells with checkboxes in them using the command key on my Mac, control on a PC. I've selected each of those. I'm just going to come to the text color because remember, we got to treat checkboxes like text or like font. And then you could choose whatever color you want. I'm going to choose this dark green because what I'm going to do is the color I'm going to add in to whenever they check off the checkbox and it highlights this, I'm going to have it as a green. So I like to match it. You could do whatever color you want, so don't worry about that. All right, so the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to add conditional formatting to each of these boxes. Now, this is the time-consuming part, unfortunately, but it's worth it to make it a little bit extra jazzy. All right, so what I want to do is select the cells that I want to add this conditional formatting. Basically, what I want to happen is if this is checked off, I want both of these cells to color in a specific color, okay? So I need to make a rule for each of these punch card holes. So I've selected these two first. I'm going to go to Format, Conditional Formatting, and it's going to open my conditional format rules. And now under Format Cells or Format Rules, we're going to click on the drop down and we are going to do Custom Formula Is. And it's because we're doing a custom formula, which is why we have to make a rule for every single punch card or punch hole, not just the card, but the punch hole. It gets annoying, I'm sorry, but like this is, if you want to do this extra feature, this is what you got to do for it. So I'm going to put in equals, and then I want to reference this cell that has my checkbox in it, so C12, but I'm going to make sure I have a $ in front of it. So $ C $12, and then I can change the color to match my green color and then click done. So I just want to show you how it looks like. So as you can see, now as it's checked off, it looks lovely, right? Now I'm going to show you the easiest way to copy this over to all the rest of them, okay? Because you know me, I'm a little bit lazy. I like the easy way for everything. So I'm going to click back into my rule. I'm going to click add another rule. We're going to change out the range because now we want to apply the same rule, but to this section here. So once I've deleted out the range, I'm going to select the cells. So again, holding the shift key, selecting both the next star. So star number 2 plus the checkbox, click OK. And then over here in the formula, we're just going to change the column reference, which is E, because it's in the same row. So it's just going to go from C12 to E12 so that it matches this checkbox. The color should already match. And then you can just click add another rule. So we can repeat this for every single little punch hole. So now I'm applying the range. So I've deleted out what's already there, selecting the range of cells where I now want to apply the new rule to, clicking OK. And now I'm going to update it so it's G column. So instead of E12, it's going to be G12. And again, the color is already matching. So I'm going to add another rule, delete out the range, and then select this one. Sometimes the box gets in the way, so you just have to move around, click OK. And now I'm going to reference I column because now it's in the I column. Okay, so I'm just going to click done for now just to show you as an example. So as I check each of these off, you can see it now highlights them. Awesome, right? Now we can go back into our rule again. If you can't find your little sidebar, maybe you closed it, all you have to do is go to Format, Conditional Formatting, and it will bring up your rules here. So now I'm just going to click into any rule and then just click right away, add another rule. And now we're going to apply it to the bottom. So I'm going to select the next one, click OK. But now we have to make 2 adjustments because it's a different column and it's a different row. So remember, we have to match with the checkbox. So I'm going to put in C15. So I'm going to delete the whatever letter was there, and then I'm going to do C15. We got to make sure the $ signs are still in front of the letter and still in front of the number because that locks it in. And now I can add another rule. And now that I've updated that row, I don't have to update the row again unless you've got multiple rows. Let's say you have 3 different rows, then you have to just do that. But anyways, so we're on our next rule. We're going to apply it to the next one. Sorry, I'm going to lose my voice. Ooh. This one is in column E, so I'm going to change the C to an E. Still keeping 15 because we are still in row 15, and then click add another rule. Now, if you want to change up your colors, maybe you want to have different colors for each of your punch holes, you would just change the color for each rule. It's up to you how you want to design it, but you can change up the color, whatever you want to do there. So I'm going to add another rule because we're just going to finish out for the last punch holes. So again, I'm selecting the new range. Now I'm going to do this for column G. So I'm going to take the E to a G and then click add another rule. So as you can see, that already highlighted because it was already checked off. And then for our last rule, because we only have an 8 card or 8 punch holes here, I'm going to do it for this, select OK. This is for column I, so I'm going to change that G to an I, and then click done. So this is essentially done. So as you can see, let's actually, oh no, I was going to do a few things. Hold on. Don't get distracted, Michelle. As you can see, as we check these off, the progress bar grows, the colors show up. Isn't that really cute? So this is basically done. I'm going to show you one other method when we do the image one. So if you're like, oh, I'm done, this is all I need, you can hop out of the call and just go create your own punch cards. Just remember to as you can see, we use specific rows and specific columns. So you might want to match them up. So if you have some goals that have like 10 punch holes, you might want to line those up together in the same like area, like vertical area. And then you might want to mix them up, or you can have them uneven. It's up to you how you want to design them, but you might need to play around a bit. It's totally fine if you have like, if this one has 2 rows and this one has like 4 rows, that's totally okay. You just need to adjust any of the rows to make sure it looks nice. You gotta play around with it a little bit. That's the one thing about Google Sheets, is because it's a spreadsheet, you do have to play around with the actual columns and to make it all aligned up. Okay, so don't get distracted, Michelle. Don't get distracted. Okay, what I do want to do is insert another row just below where my title is going to be. So I'm just going to select row 2, and then I'm going to insert one below, because what I like to do is I like to make my title merged with a bunch of cells so I can make it bigger. So I've selected B2, I'm going to merge it all the way to G3, and we're going to merge those together. I'm going to change my lovely font, and then I'm going to resize it, make it bigger, because this is our title, right? And then I'm going to left align it. And you can center align it, left align it, whatever alignment you want. I'm just going to keep it like that. I am going to resize rows 1 and 4. So the in-between ones, we're going to make them smaller. So I'm just going to select both, resize them to about 15. And there you go. So now if I go to view, show, and then I hide those grid lines, because grid lines. Now you've got your goals here. So now I can type in my goals. So let's say, watch 10, or no, this is 8. Got to make sure that the numbers match the punch holes. Watch 8 movies in the theater. Let's say. Theater, how do I spell that? There you go. So you would just insert your goal here, then you would put in your reward. So buy a new season of The Gilded Age. I love that show. Age. There you go. So then you just add in your rewards, and then as you use your punch card, as you watch a new movie, you just check it off. Now, if you want to quickly uncheck all your checkboxes, come up here to the A, or the rectangle, the gray rectangle between the A and the 1, select them, hit spacebar on your keyboard, and then it will uncheck them. You can also select it to, or sorry, hit your spacebar again to select them all. So that's how you, I'm just hitting my spacebar and it unchecks and checks things. So if you ever want to play around with that, it's just the easiest way to uncheck things. All right, so this is good to go. Like, it's ready, it's beautiful. I might actually make this color, instead of the yellow, I might make it pink so it stands out a bit. There we go. So it's matchy-matchy. Other than that, you can decide if you want to add in whatever emojis you want now. So you can change this up as you want. You can also copy this. Now, I'm just going to state the one thing about copying is, no, I probably wouldn't copy it, because the unfortunate thing about custom conditional formatting rules, so the rules that we made where it colors it when it checks off, it's really annoying, because if I was to copy this over, let's say, so if I grab this entire thing, I copy it, I'm going to paste it over here. When I paste it, it doesn't match the entire column sizes anymore. I have to go and right click, paste, or no, I have to select it again. Hold on. And then I got to right click, paste special, and then do column width only. So then it adjusts the columns. It's really weird. But anyway, so that's a little bit of a pain. But now if I check this off, it doesn't work. So now I have to go adjust all my conditional formatting rules. So that's why I don't recommend copying and pasting. You might have to, or if you want to, copy and paste before you put in the conditional formatting rules. So then you would have to, you can copy and paste the design, and then later on go do the conditional formatting rules. So if you're like, Michelle, I just want to like copy and paste, then I would delete out these conditional formatting rules and then copy and paste as many of these boxes or punch cards as you want throughout your spreadsheet, and then go back and individually add in those conditional formatting rules for each of the punch cards, whatever we want to call them. Sorry, I just got distracted because, as you can see, this rule here is linked to this box. So as I check this off, this will uncheck, but if I check this, it doesn't, yeah, like see, that's why I don't recommend it unless you do it before you do your conditional formatting rules, because otherwise the conditional formatting rules just get all screwed up and I don't like that. Anyways, let me just undo this all because now I'm getting distracted. Oh, come on, undo. There we go. Anyways, now what we want to do is create a 4-pack version. So we are quickly going to create that. So I'm going to resize this as a column. We're going to resize it, make it about 40-ish in between. I like to have space in between, and we're also going to view. So I'm just going to do this a lot quicker now because you know how I've done it. And it's basically all the same. So this is going to be my corner right here. And then we're going to do, I'm just basically taking this and merging these cells together. That's essentially all I'm doing to make a 4-pack. So it'd be 4 punch cards, or you can even do 2 if you want. So let's do a 2-packer so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is going to be my left column spacer. So I'm just going to resize that to about 20. No, I think that's too small. I think we did 30 last time. 30, okay. So now my goal is going to be here. So goal is going to be there. Then this is going to be rewards. or reward. Then progress is going to be next. Then this is going to be part of the image. That's going to be image. What do we want? So that's going to be image. Where do we want a spacer? This is going to be a spacer. So we're going to resize this one to be 15. Click OK. Now this is going to be where my little star is going to be. Let's put in my star. And let's say this is going to be the second one below. So let's put in that star. And I can just resize these to be, I think, 34 it was. Whoa, that's way too big. I think it was 27. 27. Yeah, that looks more reasonable. All right. So then this, because this is the only two that I'm going to use, this will be my spacer column. So I'm just going to resize that to about 30 to be my spacer. So again, we've got spacer here, we got spacer there. From here to here. So again, we want to make sure everything's lined up. So this lines up at the top of my star punch card area. This lines up at the bottom. We're going to merge this because this is where the image is going to go. And then we're going to, oh, sorry, no, I need to do one column down because I need to put my little checkbox there. So you could just merge those together. Now I'm going to select the cells that are going to have my checkboxes in them. So again, right below each of my emojis, insert checkbox. My head's in the way, but you can see insert checkbox. I'm just going to resize them. I'm going to change the color of them. Let's make them the yellow. No, wrong one. Got to use font. Don't forget that. There you go. So I can have those two looking good. Now I can add in my outline border. So again, I've made sure I've selected each of the cells, including the spacers. I'm going to go up to my grid line, choose my color, and then do outer borders. Then I can merge these together because this is where my goal is going to be listed. I might actually get rid of goal and just merge all these together. Then I'm going to merge this together. Now for this, I might actually, what do I want to do with this? Because right now, when I'm looking at this worked well together because this is just one, but now we need to have a space for the percentage as well as the progress bar, and this is going to be a tiny progress bar. So I might need to play around and resize some of the stuff. I might just add in another column in between the M and the N. So I might just select N, right click, insert column to the left, and then I might make this one a little bit smaller. So maybe I'll make this about 50, and then maybe I'll make this about 50 as well. So then this could be where my progress percentages, and then this one will be my space or my progress bar. So I've left that one and then I've merged these together to be where my progress bar is going to be. Sometimes you have to play around with things and add in an extra thing. So then I'll just make sure these, sorry, I just got to make sure that these are merged together because remember, reward only has one cell. So I'm just, give me a second. All right, that sounds better, doesn't it? Okay, yeah, so everything looks good. We have our things merged. Now we're going to add in our borders for each of these. So I'm just going to border it up. Border, just adding my borders for all of them, selecting the range. So again, I want to make sure that the border in between these two disappears. But before that, I'll do that after. I'm just going to finish putting my borders. Now it's up to you if you want to put a border around the image you're going to insert in there. It's totally up to you. If you go look at this one here, I don't have one because it kind of looked weird. It depends on the size of your photo too. Sometimes if it doesn't fit perfectly within the square and you have borders around it, you've got little gaps because like, I'll show you quickly with this. So as you can see, there's a gap at the top and the bottom, which kind of looks weird. So that's why I got rid of the border. So then it was just, you see the image and like, it doesn't really bother you that there's a gap. So it's up to you if you want to put a border around this, but I will put a border around these two. So I'm just going to put border and do outer border for these because I don't want a line in between there. So I'm just going to make sure I do my outer border. Perfect. So that's looking all good. So now I just need to get rid of the border in between these two. So I'm selecting my progress cell. I am going to go to borders and then no borders and then to the right border. There you go. So now we need to put in our formulas. So again, I'm just going to do equals COUNTIF, and then I'm going to put in my squiggly line there. I'm going to select that cell here, then I'm going to do comma, and then select this one, and then do my right squiggly bracket. And then I'm going to do comma, quotation mark, true, quotation mark, yeah, bracket, and then divide it by 2. So now it should say 0. I'm going to select that cell again. We're going to change it into a percentage. We're going to take away some of those decimal points. And then now as I check these off, you can see it's accurate. Awesome. So don't forget your squiggly brackets because we're selecting a range of cells that aren't in the same like line. They're 2 separate ranges. So we got to make sure we do that. And then true's got to be in quotation marks. And then you just divide it by the number of checkboxes you have. All right. So there's that. And again, I hate doing SPARKLINE. So I'm just going to copy this one over. Paste it inside. So double click to paste inside. I'm going to change out the cell reference here to match my percentage right here. And then if you want to change the color, this is where you would change the color right here, where it has the hashtag in it. So that's looking good. So now as I check these off, wow. All right, so now let's color our cells. So I'm going to grab the entire range. Let's do this one as the blue or bluish green. I'm going to select the cells that I want to keep as white, again, to remind my customers that these are the only ones they're supposed to edit. So I'm just going to change those to be white. Perfect. Maybe I'll make this one going to be pink. Oh, and I like to bold it too. Don't forget to bold if you like bolding. And then this one I'm going to make my yellow. I'm going to make these cells my light yellow. There you go. And then I'm going to grab this hex code because I want to make sure that my progress bar is yellow to match this. You don't have to match it, but you could change it to whatever color you want. That's totally fine. So I'm just going to paste it in again between the quotation marks, hit enter. So now as I check these off, wonderful. Isn't that beautiful? All right. So the next thing I want to do is add in my conditional formatting to these. So I'm going to select the cells, go to format, conditional formatting, go format rules, click on the drop down and choose custom formula is. We're going to do equals, and we're going to put in the cell reference where the checkbox is. So I'm going to do Q13, but I'm going to put a $sign in front. So $Q, $13, and then I'm going to choose the color. I'm going to match this with the pink. There you go. Then I'm going to add another rule. I'm going to select the range up here. I'm going to delete it and now apply the new range. Click OK, and then just update it because it's in the same column but different row. I'm going to update the row to be 16. Yep, 16. So I'm going to change the 13 to a 16 and click done. So now, dun dun dun, those will highlight as they're checked off. And now if you want to insert an image in here, you just click on the cell, go insert image in cell, and then we're going to browse wherever you put it. I found this one on Pixels or Unsplash, I think it was. And so I just insert a image there, and there you go. So now if I hide my grid lines, you can see that's what it looks like. So your customers can insert any image in there. Now, if you're giving this to customers, I would probably recommend putting in a border so they know to put something in here. Or what you could do is just say insert photo here. So then they know they can click here and then go insert image in cell, and it'll insert an image there. Or they could do over cells. They just have to arrange it so it's sitting nicely over there. But that's how you would do it. So you could choose how many like rows of punch cards you want, how many columns of punch cards you want. You could do like sets of 5. If you're doing like a 30 no day or no spend challenge type of thing, you could do like a set of 5 and then do 6 rows of them. You could do it however you want, but that's why I said when we first started the video to really sit there and think about your goals of how you want to create this, because it makes it a lot easier when you are designing this to think about what goals they're going to need. Now, if you're creating this for customers, you can create different options for them, and they could just find the punch card. So you might want to do like a variety of ones. You might have some that have let's say like 10, 8, there might be a 2 one. You could do a variety of them, or you can make them all the same. It's up to you. It's hard to say what customers will need for the punch cards because some punch cards are different. There's some, like if you're looking at here, well, I think they did 5 or 10 for each. Yeah, 10's pretty common, 10, 12. I'd probably stick with those, but if you want to get more customized, you could do it like this. Now, if you want to use, let's say, a clip art instead of an emoji, because you can use any emoji here, because this is like movie theater, so I could find an emoji that's like movies. Let's do movie. And then let's say, ooh, I could do popcorn. That's cute. So then I just copy and paste this in. So I'm just double clicking in and pasting in that emoji so it doesn't change any of the formatting. So I could just double click in there and paste it on there. If you copy it after you've done all your, if you copy and paste it after you've done all your conditional formatting and all that, it kind of screws it up. So that's why I like just double clicking into the cell and replacing it that way. But if you haven't done any formatting yet, you could just copy and paste. So yeah, those are cute. So that matches. But if you want to do a clip art, let's say this one we want to go camping twice this summer. Can't even spell summer. There we go. So I would delete out what's in there. I'd make sure the cell selected, go to insert image in cell, and then you would find your camping one. So let me go find it. Give me a second. All right, I found out my glamping clip art. Now, if you are selling this to your customers, make sure you get clip art that has commercial use rights. Please, please, please do not give away clip art that's not yours to give away. So just please remember that. Ooh, this one's a cute one. So maybe I'll do a little trailer one. Open it up. You might want to resize them as well. If you have super huge clip art, because it's only going into a tiny space, you might want to resize it before you insert it. But as you can see, isn't that cute? So let's delete this one, and we could do a different one. We don't have to do necessarily the same one. So let's do that, and let's go find a tent one. Oh, there's a tent. There we go. Come on, there you go. Yeah, so if you are using clip art, if you're using it for your own personal use, then you can use whatever clip art you purchase or you create yourself. If you are selling this as a spreadsheet, please, please, please check for, if you're using someone else's clip art, make sure that there's commercial use license with it and that you're allowed to use it in this specific way. If they don't have anything mentioned, please reach out to the creator. You do not want to include clip art because this clip art, I know for sure, I'm pretty sure that I can't use it in something I'm selling. So like I wouldn't include this in my spreadsheet, but if I was doing it for myself, then I can use it all I want. If you're creating your own images, then you should be fine to insert it. And then just remember to resize it, because some of the clip art that we purchased from people is like 3000 by 3000 pixels, and that's super huge considering it's going into a small little area like that, and it can cause lag in your spreadsheet. So you may want to resize it to like 500 by 500 pixels or 300 by 300 or something similar to that. Anyways, but as you can see, we've got some cute little clip art in there, and that's how you can jazz it up. I don't think you can change the size of it, unfortunately. Like the bigger the cell is, let's try, hold on, let me try this. Yeah, you can add some cushion there then, I guess, if it's too close. Like I might make these then, because usually it tries to fit, like if you expand it, let's see, resize, make you about 70-ish. Yeah, it expands. You see how it expanded and it just fits, so it didn't give any space. Yeah, so you can play around there, see what works with yours. Or you can create, like we did here, where we've got little mini spacers. You can create a little mini spacer in there as well. It's up to you. But yeah, that's basically it. So now you get to decide how many of these you want to create. You could just, again, if you are going to copy and paste them, either delete all the conditional formatting rules and then copy and paste, or do it before you add the conditional formatting rules, because it makes life so much easier. But yeah, aren't these pretty? Now it makes me want to go camping, and then I can insert a really cute camping photo there. Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions. I know this was a little bit of a longer video, so thank you so much for staying this long with me, but I really wanted to show you the different options that you do have with this. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And if you like this video and want to check out more, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.